skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, performance enhancement expert, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 46 countries, such as the U.S., the UK, India, Canada, France, Australia, Panama, Belgium, and a host of many other countries. So thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we're using these to help transform others and elevate their lives as well. Now, you can listen to us every Wednesday and on the first and third Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. However, today is a very special episode because my guest is all the way from the UK. Super pumped to have Jonny on the show today. If you don't want to miss an episode, please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, the Google Play Music app, or wherever you're listening from. You can also join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio Community. On the show are impactful and amazing guests that are impacting everyone around them, and my guest today does exactly that. So please help me welcome to the show, Jonny Cooper. What's up, my friend?
Hey, Sean. It's great to be here, man. Thanks so much for inviting me on.
Man, I'm super pumped to have you on the show. You have an incredible story, incredible background. This is what you do, man. You help transformational professionals, right? So I mean, this is your cup of tea right here, man.
Yeah, this is my playground,
right?
And I must add as well. I guess you guys have worked it out, but it's right at the end of the working day for me. So this is such a wonderful way to wind down before my dinner. So yeah, marvelous.
Absolutely. I'm glad we can make this happen because there is about a 5-hour gap between where I am in the United States and where you are in the UK. So where are you from, or where are you right now as we do the show?
Well, I'm right in the middle of the country, and that's probably something that nobody really measures out in the States because it's such a huge place. But I'm literally as far away from any coastline as you can get on mainland United Kingdom. So right in the middle. Perfect.
Awesome. So Life Transformation Radio listeners, if you have any questions for my guest or me today, you can call in at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. Call into the show and chat with myself or Jonny. So the first question that I always ask every guest is why? What is your big why? Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I want to help transformation professionals create a thriving practice for themselves and enjoy the life of abundance. And what drives me to that why is just looking around and seeing, heart-centered professionals like coaches, therapists, and trainers just not doing so well. Around the world, the average coaching income is around about $25,000, whether that's dollars in the States or £25,000 in the UK.
Oh wow!
So it just shows really that the vast majority of transformation professionals probably pretty good at what they do. They're lovely people, heart-centered coaches, and all the rest of it. But
Right.
they haven't cracked the code of finding enough clients to make a living. So, my mission and my why is to help as many of them as possible to do just that.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to find out more about you. So the title of this episode is Find More of Your Ideal Clients with Jonny Cooper, a British entrepreneur, piano player, international racing driver, and business coach. Jonny Cooper is the founder of The Success Party. You can find out more about that at www.thesuccessparty.com, helping transformation professionals find more of their ideal clients more easily. Since growing a business to 8 figures and exiting, Jonny's been supporting coaches, trainers, therapists, and consultants who are serious about growing their practice and enjoying a life of effortless abundance. He's also the voice behind the legendary Jonny Hates Marketing Facebook group and swears that he really, really does hate marketing, that is. Join the group, www.facebook.com/groups/The Success Party. It's all in the show notes. Click the links to find out more. So I'm curious, man, what would be your transformational moment? What set you on the path either to building that 8-figure business or what was the 8-figure business? And what was that transformational moment that put you on the path to what you're doing right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I knew you were going to ask it, so I spent a little time kind of thinking of an answer. In fact, there are
Perfect.
2 answers, in fact, because my life's gone through a couple of transformational phases. The first one, as you alluded to, clearly and obviously, was when I managed to build a business doing 10 million quid turnover, 10 million pounds turnover, and sold it. That was a while back now, pretty much the turn of the century, back in 2003. And that was a transformational moment from having the responsibility of 200 staff and 8 offices around the UK,
Right.
and all those families and mortgages and cars to support from my wonderful staff, to not having any of that and having some cash in the bank, more than I'd ever imagined I'd accumulate in my life. So that was a transformational moment that made me take pause and gave me the luxury of having a little time to consider what I really wanted to do. And I became an accidental coach on the back of that, which is, got me to where I am today. Because all the time, I never thought, hey, I'm going to be a business coach. But some of the former clients that we had in the business that I sold, which was a financial business, by the way, giving advice on pensions and that kind of thing. Some of those corporate clients just reached out to me after I sold and said, hey, Jonny, don't want to lose touch. Can you advise me on growing my business? Can you advise me on exit strategies? Can you advise me on human resources, staff issues, all things which they could see I clearly, managed to grasp myself. So, I just kind of got roped into doing pretty much anything. And over the sort of ensuing 10 years until, a couple of years ago, I was just a rag bag of doing anything as a consultant in business, and I was getting pulled in lots of different directions. I had no real focus because I was being led by the clients who just assumed I could do X, Y, Z. And I just took a breath in about 2015 and thought, what do I really want to do with my life? Who are my ideal clients? What's my superpower? And the great thing about that sort of time of reflection was that those very questions are now the questions which I teach and coach and show my clients to ask themselves. Because, I realized that a lack of clarity in my personal business was just leading me to overwhelm, to despair, to exhaustion, to burnout.
Yep.
And ultimately to, unsatisfying client relationships. Because, when a client says to you, hey, Jonny, can you do this? And before you've heard the question, you've given the answer yes. You also know that you're not going to be doing it particularly well. You're just going to be doing it because the client's asked you to and you're getting paid for it. And, those are lousy reasons to do anything, aren't they, ultimately? So second transformational point was when I started studying some of the great, online entrepreneurs and marketers, people I guess that you've studied yourself, Sean, and most of our listeners will, people like, Frank Kern and Mike Dillard and John Lee Dumas, and people who are just kind of crushing it in a particular niche. And what characterizes all of them is that they've chosen one thing that they do really well, and they've chosen their ideal client, that they serve really well. So once I got a grip to that, my life changed. And, I launched a success party in March last year, 2017. I launched the Jonny X Marketing Facebook group just later last year, so kind of July, August. So it's all relatively young, but I think because I've understood the foundational aspects of a business, like a coaching practice, I've been able to grow it fairly quickly. And, frankly, my growth curve for this year is looking vertical as well. So, yeah, awesome. All good stuff. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Quite a long answer.
Absolutely. No, I love the background, and I think that people can appreciate, when you can give the context behind the why, because, we have a why of what we do, and it's like, well, where did that why come from? How did it develop? And it comes from these transformational moments. Mothers Against Drunk Driving was started because her daughter was killed by a drunk driver. Certain movements are started because of these moments in our life. A suicide walk. In the States we do suicide walks. It's called Out of the Darkness Walk. And so you get a lot of the community together. They've lost children, family members, whoever, to suicide, and so they do a memorial walk. And it gets started because somebody lost a child or somebody, and they wanted to start a support group, and then the support group grows because people find out about it, and they were affected, and and it just grows from there. So a lot of people's whys turn into their transformational moments or come from their transformational moments. So thank you for sharing. That was super awesome.
Sure.
I want to acknowledge the fact that how amazing you are as an international racing driver. Can we just acknowledge how amazing that is?
Well,
in the midst of growing these businesses, you're racing. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I guess it comes from not such a noble beginning, really, in so much as when I started to grow the business and we steamed through 7 figures towards 8 figures. Clearly, as a founder and majority shareholder in a business like that, you have the opportunity to spend money that you didn't have before, and to spend money, some would say, frivolously. So, I've spent a ton of money on cars, man. Honestly, I could have bought another 3 houses with what I've spent racing motor cars. And, it seems bonkers looking back. And I transitioned after about kind of 5 or 6 years at it to actually people letting me race their cars and asking me to race their cars and asking me to teach them how to race. So I am a qualified racing instructor and coach. So I could one of the things I could do if I wanted to is show you how to get around a racetrack in your own car. So it kind of transitioned from something that I'd invested heavily in myself to something that other people were then willing to let me do, at least at no cost, and in some cases paying me to do. So I've taken a holiday from that for 2 or 3 years, but it's still in my veins. I think racing is something that never leaves you, and there's a quite a powerful saying that we say, the older you get, the faster you were.
Yeah.
So how about that? The stories get grander and grander as you get older and older. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What did you race?
I'd race GT cars. So cars like Maseratis and Ferraris and Porsches and those sort of things. Things with roofs generally. Although I did have a couple of years in a single seater, an open wheeler, as you call them over there.
Oh yeah,
like an Indy car.
Yeah, like the Indy cars. Yeah, the Indy cars. Awesome. I love that, man.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, if I was gonna coach with you, right? I'm really curious as to like how do I find my ideal client, or how would I know if because I'm I don't like coach. Like, it seems like everybody's a Facebook coach, right? Like, everybody's a coach on Facebook. You know, so how do I know as a speaker, as a business strategist, you know, a performance enhancement expert, how do I know if I'm reaching my ideal client, or who even is my ideal client?
That's a great question. And, you know, ideal client, the whole kind of avatar development bit, to me is such a foundational aspect of the business. And people who kind of disagree with that don't actually get what I mean by ideal client. And I'll just open that up a bit more.
Sure.
We could argue, and a lot of people do, that, you know, we have a number of ideal clients. You know, that what we do suits lots of different people at different times. So what I would say to that is this, and particularly if you're starting out, you've got to focus on one ideal client at a time. And that doesn't mean you're leaving all the others behind forever. It just means that it makes your marketing task easier. And I do a little development piece, which is kind of the foundation of my signature program.
Okay.
And I call it before marketing. Because if you just jump in and you start to market without knowing who you're marketing to, what it is that you're doing for them, and how you're going to package that into a program or a product or a service, then you're wasting every single dime that you're spending on marketing. It's like standing at the side of the freeway on the grass verge shouting at the traffic going by. You know, no one's going to have the slightest understanding what it is you do. They're not going to hear you. It's all going to be a waste of time. So the before marketing bit is what I've kind of branded the 3 pillars, right? The 3 pillars of effortless marketing. And it goes like this. It's very, very simple, these 3 pillars. So number 1 is what. And this is what you do. You know, what is your superpower? What do you bring to the world? What would we have to replace you with if you didn't exist? Yeah. What is it that you do? Just one single thing. Yeah. And, you know, open that up, unpack it, talk about the big problems that you solve. You know, the big pain that you remove from people's lives, the big desire that you satisfy in people's lives. So that's the 1 pillar, the what. The second pillar then is who do you do it for? You don't try and tell me that, you know, all the 7 billion people on the planet are going to want what you offer, because nobody believes it. That can't possibly be true, can it? Can't possibly be true. And when you start digging into who your ideal client is, the kind of questions you need to ask are, well, looking back, right, who have I really enjoyed working with? Who have I had the most impact with? Yeah, who's paid me the most money? So those 3 things, you know, who have I really enjoyed working with? Who have I had the most impact on with my work? Who's paid me the most money? And if you can clone those 3 into another ideal client, then it's obviously ideal. You know, all those 3 boxes are ticked. So that's what we mean by, you know, finding an ideal client. Just doing those things for you and for them. The third pillar is then the how. And you can't start marketing until you're actually marketing something. You can't market nothing. You can't just market. You don't just go to the market saying, these are my ideal clients and these are the benefits. What are you asking us to buy? You know, what are you asking us to buy? What's, you know, how do you deliver it? So, really important part of the foundational work I do with my clients is design a signature program, which could be really, really simple. If you really want to just do one-to-one coaching, fine. But, you know, what is the one-to-one package? How does it work? You know, is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? What is it? My particular signature program is the Client Attraction Blueprint, which is a 90-day, 12-week program with 12 Zoom calls and lots of homework in between and lots of personal attention and accountability buddies, for the whole program, that kind of thing. It's a done with you kind of program rather than a done for you or a dry kind of download a course sort of thing. But that's my how. So until you've got this kind of what you do, who you do it for, and how you're going to deliver it, you can't start marketing, and you shouldn't. But when you've got those in place, by goodness, it's easy to start marketing. Marketing's a whole lot easier once you've got those things in place.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, that makes total sense, because I think that as far as speakers, the one thing that speakers struggle with is where do I find the events? Like, how do I get booked, right? As a coach,
Sure.
it's like, where do I find my people? Who do I even look for? How do I? And they always talk about, here, what does your avatar look like? It's what I hear a lot of now is the avatar. Like, who's your avatar? What do they look like? What do they do? And they want you to be like, are they a coffee drinker? Are they a tea drinker? Do they have a family? Do they not have a family? They want you to get so specific, because literally, like you said, you can't market to everybody. There's no way.
Well, Sean, it's good to be specific, but not in a silly way. I mean, for most of us,
right.
It doesn't matter whether they drink tea or coffee, whether they're blonde or whether they've got great green eyes, But the things that do matter are, what are they doing at the moment? Where do they hang out? What is the biggest pain they're suffering now? What would be their wildest desire if you could wave a magic wand and change their lives? Those things are important, and those are common commonalities that can define people. I'll give you an example of how an avatar development can work. Let's say you are a stress counselor. You're really good at busting stress. It isn't enough to go to the market and say, I help people who are suffering from stress, right? But it is enough to say, I help stressed out C-level executives who are suffering from exhaustion, burnout, and would like to be more effective at work and in their family life. So what that enables you to do, once you've identified that, is you can go to LinkedIn, for example. I mean, we've gone straight from before marketing to marketing, haven't we? But you can go to LinkedIn. Sure. You can search for C-level executives, can't you? You can search for CEOs in your area if you want local people, or globally if you're not bothered. Just what the avatar development does, it enables you to find your ideal clients because you know who they are. So, I call one of my ideal clients Derek, and yes, I've done the corny old, download a Google image of what Derek might look like because it just helps. And, it informs all my writing, all my content. If I'm writing an email, I'm writing it to Derek in my mind. I'm saying, because, Derek is, just as you know, my avatar is a 20-year experienced business coach. He travels to see all his clients. So he spends 2/3 of his working life in his car, traveling. He's filled his week with clients, so he can't take on any more clients. He can't charge them anymore because he thinks that he's at the limit. So he can't grow his business. He's stagnating. He's doing 65-hour work weeks. His wife hardly ever sees him. She's about to leave him, and he hasn't had a holiday for 6 years. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah?
Right.
So we've instantly identified an archetypal business coach. I know loads of people like Derek. I know loads of people like that who are just making themselves crazy, right? So what I do when I'm working with a Derek is, first of all, I'll get him onto online coaching instead of going to visit people. So he's eliminated 2/3 of his working week, which he's spending in his car right now. So his week's already gone down to 35 hours from 65 hours. And then I'll encourage him to put his clients into groups because he'll be answering the same questions many, many times a week with different clients because there's only a certain number of problems that you have in your business, isn't there? There's common characteristics in that. So I'd encourage Derek to group his business clients together and start doing group coaching using a platform like Zoom or something like that. So maybe he could go from working 35 hours a week to working 10 hours a week, and within a few weeks of him working with me, Derek has now got a lifestyle that's sustainable and scalable. His wife likes him again. Sure. And he can go on holiday if he wants, So, but all that's come from, me identifying Derek as a client avatar, somebody that I know I can help.
Right.
So it is important, that stuff, and it's corny and some of it's old-fashioned, but it works, it's important.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, which leads me to my next question that I really want to ask. Do you really hate marketing? Because you sound so great at it.
Well, you bet I do, because when you look at when you look at an idea like effortless marketing, I mean, it's like a duck on the duck pond, isn't it? It's floating serenely across the surface, but its legs are going like Billy-O under the water, aren't they? You know.
Oh yeah.
And what I hate about marketing is, all the gnarly, time-consuming stuff, all the different platforms, and the overwhelm that can come from it. So, I've kind of distilled it down to the really essential stuff that I now know works. But I would rather not have to consider marketing at all. So I like what marketing does. I like that it creates a bunch of wonderful, heart-centered entrepreneurs that I can work with and impact. I love that bit of it. But I'd rather they just landed in my inbox without me having to do anything, And I think it's that rabid hatred of marketing is driving me to automate, delegate, and abdicate. The 3 big 8s. Delegate, automate, and abdicate as much possible stuff as I can. So I just do. My holy grail is me just doing what only I can do, which is coaching and helping people.
Yeah. I think that's huge what you said, automate and delegate, because I know a lot of people who will sit there and write sales copy all day. Like, man, you need to get rid of that stuff. I was told a long time ago by a mentor that double down on what you do well and outsource the rest. And it's going to cost money. It's going to cost a lot of money, but if you double down on your DPAs, dollar producing activities, if you double down on those and what gets you paid, then the rest will pay for itself. Yes, you're going to pay somebody for marketing. Yes, you're going to pay for somebody for this, but you are already bringing in the money that's going to pay for that. So it's kind of offsetting. But I think a lot of people spend a lot of time on things they're not good at, or they spend a lot of time doing everything in their business, which becomes a job and not really a business owner.
Yeah, exactly. Working in your business rather than on it. And, we tell ourselves stories, don't we? We're very susceptible to the little voice in our head that say, nobody else could do that like you can, Johnny. Nobody could craft an email like you can, And I learned a big lesson around this in my, mythical 8-figure business all those years ago, because, we were, as the founders, my partner and I, we were really, really good at closing deals. So we could get a dozen leads, and we'd get maybe 8 to 10 clients from that. And as soon as we took on another financial advisor, we'd give them a dozen leads, and they would close maybe 4 to 6. So they'd be half as effective as we were, and we'd be tearing our hair out and crying at all the wasted opportunity from all those leads that they'd blown, And then we took a breath, and we just thought, well, hang on a minute. All this means is that we've got to employ 2 people to be as good as one of us. So by the time we got a business that had 85 financial advisors, that was as big as 40 of us could ever be. So don't. There's a lesson there. Don't hang on to stuff just because you think you can do it better than anybody else. That may well be true, but it doesn't mean you should keep on doing it forever. You've got to let go at some point. And even if you accept a little bit of dilution, that your emails won't be quite as good as if you'd written them yourself. Well, the time and energy and life that you've given yourself back by not doing the emails yourself is more than worth that small price to pay, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely correct. So as we start to close the show, can you recommend some resources that people can read or watch or use that will elevate them to the next level?
You mean like digital tools, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a book that you recommend, if there's like like a documentary, if there's like, YouTube links or something, like, is there something out there that you were like, man, you got to read this, or you got to watch this clip, or you got to, whatever, follow somebody? Yeah.
Well, I'm a big reader. I mean, my preferred learning method is more books than videos, I must say.
Okay. Sure.
So I'm currently reading Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson.
Oh, that's a great book. I'm reading that one too.
Yeah, fabulous. It's the kind of book you can read and reread.
Sure.
I've also recently read The Prosperous Coach by Steve Chandler. So that is a reference book for any of your listeners who are coaches, therapists, consultants, that kind of thing. That really nails, the important stuff you need to be doing to be a successful coach. And we haven't touched on this particularly, but pricing is very dear to my heart. And one thing I noticed as my business is growing is that it's no harder to sell a £5,000 program than it is to sell a £500 program. And it takes exactly the same amount of effort. And that's one of the things I learned from the Prosperous Coach. Chandler is a master at just getting value out there and charging what you're worth, and not underselling yourself and working like crazy for nothing. So those books are kind of seminal books in my industry. Other tools, as you'll probably guess from our previous conversation, it's about automation for me. So anything I can find that takes away stuff that means clicking the mouse more than I need to is worthwhile. So your email automation is the biggie, isn't it? For me, that's the anchor that pulls everything together. So the thing that you can build your funnels in, that you can set up your automations and your campaigns. I send out a daily email called the Daily Brain Tattoo, which I highly recommend to any of your listeners. I do that through Active Campaign. I found that as good as any. I experimented with MailChimp, and Infusionsoft just seemed a bit too expensive. So Active Campaign's where I am with that right now.
Perfect.
And then I'll link that. The sort of APIs and the linkability of all the different platforms is wonderful these days. So I'll link it to my Google Calendar. I'll link it to. You can book me for scheduling. I guess you use a scheduler platform, don't you, as well?
Yeah, I use Calendly.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's great too. So any of those, anybody listening who isn't using email automation, isn't using a digital calendar, isn't using a scheduler that links all that stuff together, for God's sake, just get on and do it,
Right. Perfect. I like it. So can you quickly tell us, where you're headed now? Do you have any new businesses, family, adventures? What does the rest of your 2018 look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. My 2018 now is about building independence and freedom into my business. So I've spent so many years in businesses where I've been tied to the desk or tied to the clients. And you probably know in Northern Europe, the weather is pretty poor. I'm looking out the window now. It's still daylight, but it's gloomy, it's drizzly, it's grey. And it does affect your temperament. It affects your mood and everything you do, So I like to spend time in the sun. So my goals for 2018, spend as much time on the Mediterranean as possible. It's very local to us. It sounds exotic to you guys, but I'm going to Marbella on Thursday. It's a 2-hour flight from here, so it's great.
Perfect.
And we're into a pretty subtropical climate, So I want to build a business that I can run from anywhere in the world. So location independence is very, very important to me. And I'm on my way to doing that. And anything and everything that locks me into a location and says, Jonny, you've got to be here today, I'm trying to eliminate from the business, so I can just literally go where I want and work where I want and when I want, basically.
Awesome. I love it. So this is the moment of the show where we close with a shameless plug. You can plug your friends, quotes, websites, Facebook groups, your products, favorite movie. Give a shout out, whatever it is that you want to plug. This is your time to shine. Shameless plug moment. Go.
Fabulous. Well, I would be more than happy if all your lovely listeners jumped onto the Facebook group, Jonny Hates Marketing. It's very easy to find. There is nothing vaguely called Jonny Hates Marketing on Facebook other than mine. There's no Bob Hates Marketing or Sharon Hates Marketing. There's only Jonny, so you'll find that easily on Facebook. The other thing is, dig out my signature program, which is called the Client Attraction Blueprint, and that's on thesuccessparty.com. So if you go to thesuccessparty.com, you'll find it from there. And I'd love to see all you guys engaging and interacting, and I'm here to help and help you to build your thriving practice in 2018.
Perfect. Love it. So as we close, can you deliver your best nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action today?
Yeah. Work out who you're doing it for. Work out who you're doing it for. That's the single most important thing. You can't talk to an audience you don't know.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and you dropped some amazing value. I just, all the way from UK, I'm so grateful to be in your group and watching your Facebook Lives and spending this quality time with us, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. It's been my absolute pleasure. I've loved it. Thank you.
Awesome. So, Life Transformation Radio listeners, another amazing guest, another impactful episode. If anything that was talked about today resonates with you, find Jonny at www.thesuccessparty.com. Go to his Facebook group, Jonny Hates Marketing. You got to connect with this guy. He knows what he's talking about. So as we close, I always say live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the values that you have deep in your heart. And I call that living your brand. So until next episode, have a great night.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just 49 bucks at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only 49 bucks. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Why is it that when someone asks you to just trust them, you just don't? Because trust is tricky. You can't just say it. You have to back it up. AAA Auto Insurance has been doing that for over 100 years. As quickly as a car accident happens, AAA starts to set things right, matching you with the right experts who make your claim their priority until you're back behind the wheel. Talk to a AAA insurance agent at your local AAA store today or visit AAA.com/insurance to learn more about AAA.